everybody. I'm Terry O'Connor with O'Connor Insurance Associates, and again today I'm with Bill Hamilman with CCP. How you doing today, Bill?
Hey, doing great, Terry. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's been one of those weeks full of all kinds of cyber activity, as I'm sure you're well aware of, and we're going to talk a little bit about some cyber hygiene today. Doesn't that sound exciting?
It does. I mean, one of the most important things you do every day that you don't really think about as super valuable is that kind of hygiene, right? Dental hygiene as a good example, and in my opinion, cyber hygiene is just as important. So we should dig right into it.
Absolutely. All right. So, cyber attacks are becoming more frequent. A lot of people are seeing them. They're becoming larger, and doing some typical hygiene type activities to help protect yourself from cyber attacks is very important. Protect you from security breaches, data loss, software vulnerabilities, and even antivirus weaknesses. But a lot of the things comes down to also defending your reputation. So we're going to get into some of the things that you can do for hygiene today that Bill's going to help us out with, being in the IT sector, on what we should be doing for sure with our security. So Bill, let's get into them. What would you say one of the first things that people should be doing when it comes to their systems and their processes with protecting from cyber?
So the most fundamental thing you do every day is have strong passwords that protect your credentials. Things to keep in mind: if you're using the same password in a lot of different places, that's a bad idea. If you're using weak passwords, something that you can write down and never have to worry about, that's probably a bad idea as well. Hackers have gotten really good about breaching a password in one place and reusing it everywhere else. And if you reuse those passwords, if you don't have strong passwords, you might be in trouble. Terry, do you have any issues at your firm with having weak passwords?
No, I mean, we use some different systems that help us with some password creations that create very strong passwords. You should be looking into that all the time, and have a system, to be able to change those passwords on a regular basis. What are some other things, Bill, that that we have on our list? We do have a page we're going to put out that will give these hygienes listed so that you can check on yourself to see where you're at right now with these things. And if you have cyber coverage, you're going to want to look to make sure you're doing these, because you probably indicated that you were. And if you're not, that could cause you a problem too. So Bill, let's get into a couple of these other ones. What would be the next one that you think that we should talk about?
Now, think about this as your cybersecurity daily hygiene checklist. The next thing is your security software. Almost everyone has antivirus in place. It's probably something they almost never think about. But is your antivirus updated? Is it one of the more advanced, or is it one of the more basic budget type antivirus software? The speed at which your antivirus software keeps itself up to date is going to help significantly with avoiding attacks. The third thing I'd highly recommend is that daily backup process. One of the most recurring cyber attack we're seeing right now is a ransomware attack, and they go after your data. And the only two options you have if you suffer a ransomware attack is either to pay the ransom or to recover the data. And if you haven't backed up the data isn't safe somewhere besides on your computer, that becomes no longer an option. And now you're just in we're out of luck, or we're paying a ransom type of situation.
Yeah, and how many times have we heard that lately? And one of the ones that I wanted you to talk about a little bit today, I always think is an oxymoron, because it's a firewall. And you think fire, to me, has always been dangerous, hot, stay away from it. You're taught that as thing, but this is something that you really want to have in place, isn't it, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have an office where you think of multiple machines are connecting to, a single internet connection, all these machines are tied together. If you don't have a firewall, then you are at high risk of, if one person makes one unfortunate decision on one device, all of your devices are compromised. Firewall is designed to prevent that bad decision from happening, but even more importantly, it's designed to prevent bad guys from proactively trying to get in and attacking your system. So having a network firewall, especially if you have an office, is a really important thing. If you have a home office, your internet provider probably has given you a firewall, but do you know anything about it? Is it actually configured to protect you? Even at your home office, you should be thinking about the quality of your firewall.
Those are some great points, Bill. And we do see that a lot, and we have people ask us a lot, they're not really sure if they have a firewall or not, or I guess that's when they need to contact an expert like their IT guy, who is going to be able to help them, or call you and your firm to go in and do an assessment of the types of things that they have in place. So The next one, that I think is always an interesting one that I wanted to ask you about is multi-factor authentication. And first of all, say that 10 times and see how that ends up real fast. But it's a tough one, but it is something that insurance, when you're applying for insurance coverage, absolutely wants to make sure that you have it in place. So give us a little quick tidbit on multi-factor authentication and why it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're still sticking with that kind of dental hygiene metaphor, those first four things we talked about, maybe that's your kind of your brushing and maybe your occasional flossing. We get into multi-factor authentication. Now we're talking about your mouthwash and the things that kind of take you to the next level. Multi-factor authentication means even if someone does get your password, they do get your email address, they do understand what your username is, they have to produce an additional factor to identify themselves as you. Usually that comes in the form of, on your mobile phone, you receive a text message, and that text message is the third key you need to unlock your account. So if someone doesn't have your mobile phone, they don't have that third key, they can't open the lock. That is one example of a multiple factor. Now, you'll probably not love to hear that actually just having a cell phone and a text message isn't as secure as it used to be. There's actually even better layers of multi-factor authentication. An application, an app on your phone that generates a code instead of receiving a text message is much more secure. And so having that multi-factor authentication in place, which is becoming the new standard for having cybersecurity at a level that an insurance carrier is going to say is adequate, that is becoming a critical item because it has a huge impact on protecting your account. The other thing to think about, multi-factor authentication can be deployed in a lot of different places. Maybe you have on your email a multi-factor authentication in place, but do you have it on your web portal for your business application? Do you have it on your computer? Do you have it in all of the different places you need to have it? Some of the cyber insurance carriers are saying, do you have multi-factor in place? Yes or no? But that's a broad question because maybe you have it in one place, but not 9 other places that you get a breach in, and you said yes, but you didn't. So it's something that's important to think about, having an expert in that area like myself and our team kind of walk you through what is your true exposure there. That's an important piece. The final thing I'll say, this is sort of the cherry on top when it comes to hygiene. This would be like ensuring that every day, in addition to brushing your teeth and flossing and using mouthwash, you just do a quick check-in with the dentist and he takes a quick look at your mouth and says, you're all good. Employee education, right? So there's no amount of software in the world that can prevent one of your employees from receiving a text message on their phone and believing the message and proactively reaching out to a cyber criminal. More and more of those kind of text-based attacks are happening. Attacks where it's not, there's not a piece of malware loaded onto your system that a sophisticated piece of software would stop. It's someone saying, hey, can you go buy a gift card and can you send me the numbers, text me the credentials from the gift card. Educating yourself, educating your workforce is the best way to prevent that kind of final type of attack. And we highly recommend, if you don't have a sophisticated training program in place, especially if you have an office of more than just a handful of folks, you need to look at getting one of those because the criminals are attacking in different ways. It's an ever evolving sort of a scenario, and having an education program that also kind of follows the trends is a key factor to protecting your organization.
Absolutely, and those are some great points. And it's something that even my agency went through with Bill. Did a whole cyber security training with our employees, and it was a great process to go through. I highly recommend it if you haven't done something like that. So hopefully we've educated you on some cyber hygiene best practices today. So go out, be prosperous, be safe. Bill,
please stay vigilant.